Hey everyone, welcome to Conversations with the Real Estate Redhead. Today we have Charlie Howell on with us, and he is a fellow agent with Keller Williams, and he's also part of the Agent Leadership Council. So he's going to talk to us all today about all kinds of good stuff. So welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It is an absolute honor and a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your time and coming on today. So kind of tell us a little bit about you and Charlie. And
I'm pretty much an open book, but some chapters are closed due to sensitivity.
Right?
So a little bit about me. Okay. Rockport native, Coastal Bend native.
Yeah.
Born in Corpus. Finished out high school in Rockport.
Mm-hmm.
Parents divorced early 80s, I think. My mom always loved Rockport.
Yeah.
So when she divorced my father and moved to Rockport, I was the youngest of the family, so I came with her, and I finished out Rockport high school.
That's cool.
After that, kicked around a little bit and wasn't sure what to do.
Right.
Went into the service, went into the Army, and I absolutely loved it. Had a great time.
That's awesome.
Absolute pleasure. Totally an honor to be able to serve this country.
Yeah.
And I wanted to continue that service. So I thought, all right, well, what's the next step? I wanted to be a Texas Ranger. That was one of my lifelong goals.
That is so cool. Yeah.
My grandfather was a Ranger back in the teens and the early 20s.
Dang.
Before he went to work for the King Ranch. And so that was something I wanted to do and kind of follow in his footsteps. So I knew to do that, I had to be in DPS. Well,
right.
To do that, I needed to have training. I need to have some experience. I need to have some college. I need to have some of that stuff under my belt.
Right.
So I started in law enforcement in the little town of Port A. I was a cop there for
That's cool.
a couple of years. Yeah, it was good because I broke in there, and that taught me a lot about dealing with people because we had a ton of folks. Spring break, 4th of July, summers, and then during the wintertime, absolutely dead.
Really?
Absolutely dead. Not like it is now.
Right.
Now it's a total different place, but this is back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And it was just, we would go, 3 or 4 days without a call for service.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I was like, is this always this way? Or,
Yeah.
And, guys were like, yeah, it's that way. Just kind of roll the streets up
right.
at night. And, but started there. And I really enjoyed that. Went to a little bit larger agency, Ingleside PD.
Gotcha.
And because I was living in Ingleside, that ferry ride getting back and forth was just ugh.
Yeah, after a long shift, that's probably the last thing you want to do.
It is. It was rough. And then the politics in Ingleside were so bad that I needed to get out of there or I was going to get blackballed. I was going to get...
Wow.
So I went to work for Leroy Moody with San Patricio County Sheriff's Office.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So I was a sheriff's deputy. So I've been PD, been sheriff's deputy. And then I got to work for DPS, joined DPS.
That's amazing.
Started on my career with them. And absolutely, that was the best job. Driving that black and white.
The honor and pride.
Yes.
Gosh, it's so awesome.
Yeah, just the command presence you have.
Oh, that's so awesome.
It's I was coming into Corpus Friday night for a dinner, and I had a headlight out, and I knew it. And I get stopped by a rookie trooper.
Nice.
And I'm Charlie. I used to work for DPS, and we start talking a little bit, and he's just fresh out of the academy.
Dang.
Just fresh out of the academy. Stationed in Sinton, and so he's working east side of San Pat County.
Good for him.
And Brian Fishbeck's the sergeant there in Sinton. I've known him since he was a road troop when he first got down here, so he and I go way back. But just watching him come up and do his job, absolutely, that was the best job I ever had.
Yeah,
that was
that's so awesome.
The best job I ever had.
Yeah.
And did that I was a road troop in Kerrville, of all places, for about 12 years and promoted.
Wow.
And went into our investigations.
That's awesome.
Got sent to the thriving metropolis of Eagle Pass, Texas.
Nice.
that's 2.5 years of my life I'll never get back.
Yeah.
It did. I've lived out of a travel trailer in Eagle Pass for 2 years, a little over 2.5 years. Only seen the family on weekends, sometimes not at all.
Putting your life at risk every single second.
Well, and I didn't realize, I've never lived in a border town. Now, Eagle Pass has got some great folks.
Right.
They have got some wonderful folks in there. Great community, but sometimes the bad people give it a bad name.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And there was no shortage of work. You could work anything you wanted to. You could work dope. Of course, that was a big thing. I liked working guns. I wanted to stop the guns going south. That was a big thing.
Is that with ATF?
Yes, ATF. So all your federal agencies had people down there as well. ATF, FBI, DEA.
Wow. Yeah. Wow, that's big.
Well, and those poor guys, they're coming. Like my ATF partner, he's actually out of Del Rio, but he had his Eagle Pass was his duty, but he was from like Detroit.
Wow.
You talk about a culture shock.
Yeah.
For somebody coming from the big city down to Eagle Pass, Texas.
A tiny little place like that.
And it's like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
And their main job was to get a good investigation and check some boxes so he could get out of there. That's all they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Which I can't blame them.
Right.
I can't blame them at all.
Yeah.
Worked a lot with those guys, and then the opportunity came around to transfer out. At the time, DPS was changing colonels. We had, I promoted into what was our criminal intelligence service at the time. And then we changed colonels. He realigned everything. We had, he was DPS to begin with, and he went to the FBI, retired out as FBI. So he brought a lot of those, structure to the job. He modernized DPS, and I will always be thankful for that.
Yeah.
The equipment we got, the uniforms for the troopers, just put us into not only the 21st but the 22nd century. I mean,
wow, that's awesome.
He really moved us forward.
Yeah.
When I came out, just the weapons we were using were outdated.
Yeah.
Our rifle was a Ruger Mini 14, where cartel guys and other people were using M4s and AKs and that. So it was like, you got to meet fire with fire sometimes. So, but he really modernized our department. And I really appreciated that. What I didn't like was some of the structure that he did. He took vacancies away from places and moved them into bigger cities.
I see.
So Kerrville, I was trying to get back in Kerrville in our. Then it was criminal intelligence, but then it changed to our CID, Criminal Investigations Division.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get back to Kerrville with that, and those vacancies were taken out of Kerrville and put into like San Antonio, Houston, Austin, bigger cities.
Yeah.
And following the federal model of we'll service those outlying areas from the big city.
Yeah.
So, which I wasn't really keen on, because myself and another guy that had promoted were trying to get back to Kerrville.
Yeah.
He ended up busting back into highway patrol.
Gotcha.
And getting back to Kerrville.
Gotcha.
Where Clara, my wife, said, "No, you've worked too hard.
Right.
Let's find somewhere else to go." So we decided it was a good time to transfer, and I put my paperwork in for Corpus.
That's awesome.
Let's go back home. Let's go to Corpus, and I think we can live in Rockport, because at the time you had to be a certain air miles away from your duty station, be able to, for response. So we did that, and got back here in 2012, and I bought what I call my retirement home. An absolutely great place on the water. It is absolutely, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
That's awesome.
And I got back to Kerrville in 2012.
Back to Corpus?
Back to Corpus. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
I was like, wait, what?
Back to Corpus in 2012, and got back home, put the kids in school in Rockport.
That's cool.
And then just wrote out the rest of my career there.
Yeah.
And did my minimum. Actually, I checked out a little early.
Yeah.
And said, no, I'm done with law enforcement.
Good for you.
Done with that. and moved on to my second career, which is real estate.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny that you describe it like that, because you've paid it forward like your entire career, and now that you're in real estate, that's all that you do too. Is you're just always helping other people too.
I want to, and I like doing that.
Yeah.
Being part of our ALC and a mentor for the agency is great. I like doing that. I immensely enjoy talking to new people that are getting into this profession.
Yeah.
And especially now, the rash of people that we have coming in is, we get emails just about every day. Hey, so-and-so's joined. Hey, so-and-so's joined. I'm like, holy cow, there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people joining. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're growing. We're growing really fast. And it's nice to have mentors like you just on hand, ready to answer questions, whenever.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't put myself out there. I wouldn't be part of ALC.
Right.
I wouldn't make myself available.
Right.
But I do absolutely love it.
Yeah. That's really cool. So talk to us about your transition from law enforcement to now being, your salary your whole life, and now you're going into this world of commissions, which I experienced that too. Whenever I joined it, it's like, wait, now I'm like my own boss. Wait, what is that again?
Yes.
I have to put myself out there and make a name for myself and run my own business. Yeah. So talk to our listeners a little bit about that.
I have always had a dream and a goal to own my own business.
Okay.
I really wanted to do that. The discipline, the principles, the integrity that I have from being in the military and law enforcement, I want to carry that forward into my business.
Cool.
I didn't know what that business was going to be.
Yeah.
And I actually got into real estate as a coin flip.
Wow.
When I'm sitting on the front porch of my house, watching the sun go down, having a cocktail, and Clara said, well, now what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm thinking about something in real estate. I'm thinking about, home inspector or actually becoming a real estate agent. Like, well, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. I said, I think I'd be happy at each one.
I was going to say, you'd be good at either one of those.
Well, and I became a real estate agent on the coin flip.
Wow.
I took a quarter out of my pocket. Heads.
That's one way to do it, right?
Heads, I'm an agent. Tails, I'm an inspector.
Yeah.
Flipped it. Boom. Heads. All right. I'm an agent.
Yeah.
And what I didn't realize was some of the training that you have to go through.
Yeah.
6 classes you have to go through. You have to get that. Then you have to take a state exam. So I was like, all right, well, where can I do that? So I looked at Del Mar to begin with. Del Mar treats it more as an academic, where they only have a couple of classes per semester.
Gotcha.
Like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I was coming into Corpus doing that Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm like, I got to do something else. I mean, this is taking forever.
Right.
So I went through. I got 2 classes out of my way through Del Mar. And then I started looking at other programs and found Champions out of San Antonio. Boom. Went up there, did that. I've got nothing but good things to say about that school.
So did you go? So you went in person to San Antonio?
Yes. Yeah. This was in early 2019.
So did you do that? How did they have it set up? Because whenever I did mine, they had like all kinds of options for you. Right.
So I'm old school. I'm an old guy, and I do better in person classes.
Yeah.
And so they have correspondence. They have kind of a self-paced thing. They had that. They have online classes where you spend a couple hours each night, on online, or you can go in person.
Yeah, and it's like an express, like all day, 8 to 5 type thing for several days in a row, and then you're good after that. Is that what you did?
No, I actually went in person.
Okay.
I did in person. I'm an old guy. I do better that way. My attention span is that of a gnat. So if I was to do that at the house, squirrel.
Yeah, you'd be all over the place.
I would be.
Yeah.
And it was, I knew knowing your limitations.
Yeah.
Knowing what you do well and knowing what you don't do well.
Right.
I don't do well with self-paced training. No. So I needed to go in person. So Claire and I would go up on a weekend and spend Saturday, spend a Friday night, Saturday night there. I got Saturday, Sunday out of the way, and then we'd come back home. Or I'd go during the middle of the week, and when she wasn't there, and I'd stay in a hotel, or I'd stay with friends. And
how long did that take you?
Man, So I had 2 classes out of the way by January of 19, and my goal was to have everything finished by, I think, April. Mm-hmm. I got it knocked out in no time.
Cool.
It was just a couple of months.
Cool.
And because I don't like just sitting still.
Yeah.
So I took a part-time job at Lowe's.
Cool.
And was working there.
Yeah.
And then going to Del Mar, and then also taking a couple days and going up to San Antonio and finishing that. And I got everything done, knocked out. I took some refresher classes, or they call it a test prep.
There you go.
So I took test prep class, took 2 of those. I took the one here at Del Mar, and I took one in at Champions, and tested the first part of June of 19, and boom, got my license.
Awesome. Well, that's a good time to get it too in the summer.
It was. It really was. And then, because Rockport's my home, I wanted to go to all the brokerages and speak to them.
Right.
I've got family members that are involved in real estate. My wife's cousin, Addie Belcher, she runs Witten Real Estate in Port A.
Oh, cool.
So when I was looking at doing it, and I overanalyze things. When I decide to do something, I'm going to pull it apart. I'm going to dissect it. I'm going to get into it. I went and talked to her. I went and talked to anybody that had anything remotely to do with real estate. It's like,
that's awesome.
Is this going to be a good time to get into this?
Right.
I thoroughly did my background.
Right.
And, everybody was saying, I think this is going to be good. I think this is going to be real good for you.
Yeah.
And the interviewing skills, the talking to people, negotiation skills I had from law enforcement, learning to talk with folks, really has played forward in this profession. I sold the hardest thing to sell before, and that was jail time.
Yeah.
The more I got somebody to talk to me about what they did, the more jail time they got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was. If I thought, if I do that, I think I can do just about anything.
Absolutely.
Those skills carry forward into this profession, definitely.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I interviewed, I think, just about every single brokerage in Rockport.
Oh my goodness.
And of course, a good friend of mine was working with Keller Williams, not at the Keller Williams in Rockport, but at Keller Williams in Austin. Yeah. And she and I went to high school together, and she's like, "No, you really need to look at Keller Williams. You need to come in and talk to those folks, because it gives you the opportunity to cap out. It gives you great commission structure. It gives you all those opportunities, and plus the culture, which is the big thing. And new agents, people that are coming into this profession, I would say talk to every single brokerage you can. Right. Because as much as they're interviewing you, you need to be interviewing them. Exactly. You need to come in and see what is the right fit for you, what is the right fit for your lifestyle, what is the right fit for your family. Yeah, what are you looking for? Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because some brokerages, they have a production minimum you have to have. Mm-hmm. They have every brokerage for the most part is going to have some sort of fee to be part of them. Correct. Whether that is part of your commission, whether that is a per transaction fee. Yeah. And what are they going to be giving you in return, for that? Fees, things like that. And people that are looking to get into real estate, get with a brokerage that has training. Yes. That has a mentoring program. That has something like that. Being in law enforcement, especially DPS they had you're on probation for a year. The first 6 months of that, you're on FTO, which is field training officer. So you had you didn't do a darn thing without that FTO in your hip pocket. Right. They rode with you. They looked your reports over. You made traffic stops together. I mean, it just everything like that. And what I liked about Keller Williams was, even though my sponsor was not in Rockport, right, the people over there were welcoming with open arms. Yeah. And I remember I got licensed on June 10th. The 20th, I'm writing my first contract. That's so awesome. A $425,000 house. I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. I'm like, what am I doing? Yeah, this is crazy. And fortunately, I was able to call the agent that was on phone duty that day. great person, Mary. She's also on our ALC.
Yeah.
And I said, I've got a contract to write. She's great. Congratulations. I said, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Can you help me? Of course.
Yeah.
Come on in.
That's so awesome.
Went through it. She sat there next to me and helped me through
the patience
everything.
of a saint, like she has.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what I liked about that. And that's what I want to carry forward.
Yeah. To be able to give that to somebody else whenever they're in their like beginning stages and they have no idea where all the check boxes go and what it all of the different things that a contract is made up of.
Right.
There's so many places to forget something.
Oh, yes, there is.
There's so many places to forget something. And because it's a legal binding contract, you have to be really careful.
Yeah, and you can get called to the carpet on it. And, and it's people, you're especially you taking somebody that is a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
This is their biggest investment that they're probably going to make.
Mm-hmm.
They've saved up, thousands of dollars to be able to do this.
Right.
And you better have that right.
Exactly.
Because if something goes south and you don't, you do something without knowing, or you do something without thinking about it, and they can lose their earnest money,
or without asking because you're afraid to ask.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That can bite you so bad.
Yes.
That was one of my biggest deals too with joining Keller Williams and joining a brokerage in general. I remember I asked Seth, the guy who helps us with all of the new agent onboarding, and he interviews all of the agents. I actually had him on the podcast last week. And I said, hey man, like whenever I was sitting down with him, okay, you're telling me all these things and all of these things sound great. Like the non-compete leadership to me is like one of the biggest deals.
Right.
I can go to him or to, other people in our leadership team for help with anything. And I don't need to worry about them going out the back door and try and call my client that I just talked to, and, I literally told him, I said, I need to know that what you're telling me is actually true. Like you can tell me that y'all do all of this, but I'm having a hard time, and I'm not saying I'm having a hard time believing you. I just need to know that this is really true. And he pulled out this sheet of paper, and it had everybody on the Agent Leadership Council, and it had all of y'all listed and all of your cell phone numbers. Yeah. And he's like, you call me, I don't answer, then you go down this list and you call everyone. Someone is bound to answer. He's like, I live 5 minutes around the corner. I will come up here at any time and I will help you write a contract. He's like, I know what it's like to be new and to not know what you're doing. Precisely. And it's such a big deal to have that support and have that backing, and I remember too, like, and you may have experienced this too, you always hear about how some realtors can be so backstabbing. Yes. And how some realtors can just not care about anyone's success but their own. And don't get me wrong, those do exist, and you do a good job of reminding me of that. But it's like, a lot of people that I haven't come across anyone like that in Keller Williams. I haven't.
I'm glad to hear that.
Like everyone has been like, oh, you need help? Let's do this.
Yeah,
or, oh, you have a question about that? Let's do this. And all of the training we have, I mean, come on now. It's
great training from Lori, from Seth, from Candy Chrisman, being the best agent. I do a realtor safety. That's my bailiwick. That's what I like doing.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of good training to go through. The Ignite classes, that helps you, especially coming from, I guess I was lucky. I came from a different industry, and I had a little bit more life experience than somebody that's, in their early 20s coming into it.
Right.
And, they've got half of the equation, which they are young, they are eager, they're hungry, they want to do this, but yet they don't have too much life experience dealing with folks.
Right.
So that's part of that equation.
Yeah.
And, one of the things Lori told me was, you're going to do well. You're going to do very well because you're coming from a different industry. You've got a lot of life experience. I guess that's her way of saying I was old.
Gee, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the compliment.
But I'll take that, but it's just, just the training.
Yeah.
And having the non-compete, one of the brokerages I looked at in Rockport is a smaller brokerage. It's not like a Keller Williams or a Remax. It's not a name. It's a smaller brokerage. But the lead broker, the owner, you competed. And I was like, I'm going to be fighting for this person with table scraps? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Not interested in that.
Not interested in that at all.
Yeah.
Not interested in that at all.
Yeah. I totally follow that too. Well, and to me, like, I don't know what my future is going to hold. If I don't feel like doing anything for a month, if I happen to not, if I want to take a few months off, if I get pregnant and I want to take, 3 or 4 months, to hang out with my baby, like not having to worry about having the commission, not the commission. What is that word? The production. The production requirement. Like, not having to worry about the production requirement to me is huge, because I don't want the pressure of, I have to produce. I have to do this. I need to go find any buyer on any corner to go try and find a house. Like, I can do enough of that pressure myself that I don't need somebody else over me telling me, hey, you have 30 days left to meet your requirement. And if you don't meet it, then, whatever's going to happen, I can't say enough good things. So as far as, you decided to join Keller Williams, what are some things that you would advise our listeners after you joined in your first, maybe year of getting started, that were like big reality slaps in the face?
People, this industry, people talk about goals, setting goals. Don't set goals your first year. Yeah. You got to get a good baseline for what you're going to do. Right. You don't know what you don't know. Right. All right. And I was very fortunate. I've had a lot of good things land in my lap. Right. A blind hog finds an acorn every once in a while. That's my luck. And I'm happy. I'm very happy with that. Right. I had a very good friend of mine. And if you ask me what time it is, I'm going to tell you how to build a clock. I'm just that type of person. I tell stories. Yeah. So, the best advice I got was, when you have similar products where you're going to bring your people to the table and where you're going to keep your clientele, as a service you provide. Right. You can go out and sell Ford trucks all day long, but that person that's bought from you, if you give them excellent service, they're going to keep coming back to you. Right. And that's kind of what I wanted to do in my job, whatever business I owned, that's what I wanted to have. Right. I wanted to be able to have that service and carry that. I wanted to be, whatever that was going to be, I wanted to provide excellent service to my clients. Right. And that's what I've taken forward into this profession, is, being able to do that, because you cannot throw a rock without hitting a realtor. Yes. Exactly. And I think that's what makes people nervous about getting into it too, which makes sense. Yeah, it does. Until you are a realtor, and then you realize, like everyone told me, what is the thing? 80% of realtors do 20% of the work. Yeah. And I didn't realize that until I got into the profession. And then after I had my first listing and I dealt with some of the realtors that contacted me to see the house, and I'm like, people trust you to sell them houses? Like, it's pretty appalling what you realize once you get into it, and like you said, you can hit a realtor with a rock if you try. Yeah. But only, especially in Rockport, we are a destination location. We have survived market shifts better than other places has. Everybody still wants to go to the coast. They still want to have the salt life. They still want to, so Rockport survives that a little bit better than other places do. Yeah. But only about a quarter or even less than that actually work in Rockport. Right. They're happy with, other agents are happy. Their spouse may work, or they just do this on the side as a retirement gig and just for spending money and play money. When I got into it, I was like, no, this is going to be my job. This is what I'm going to treat it as, my job. Right. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. Right. So in Rockport, I'm sure you experienced this, only about a quarter actually work. The rest of them are happy. Yeah, I'll do a deal a month. I'll do a deal every couple of months. Yeah, I'm fine with that. That's fine for you, but family and friends, yeah. Not for me. Yeah. That's not what I want to do. I want to be full time. I want to do this. This is my job, and you got to treat it that way. Right. When you treat it and respect it that way, that helps tremendously. Good. With your motivation to do things. Yeah, and like you said, you can make your own schedule. You can look at the books and say, you know what? Hey, I've got this going. I've got that going. I've got that going. I can take the long weekend and go to San Antonio with the wife. Exactly. Or the husband, or, hey, I'm just going to take a weekend off and not do a darn thing. Exactly. I'm going to get honeydews done, or I'm going to, have the family over, and we're going to, smoke some ribs. And,
yeah.
You
or I have the afternoon free. I can go. My mom calls me, hey, you want to go do this? Yeah, I don't have anything on my calendar.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you have to live and die by your calendar. And I'm telling you, if it's not on your calendar, you're going to make some people upset.
Yes.
If you have plans with them. That happened to me. Oh my gosh. I remember the first time I made a boo-boo, I was doing open houses left, right, and center as much as I absolutely freaking could. It was, what was that holiday where we had Monday off? Was it Labor Day? It was Labor Day. Labor Day weekend. My best friend was moving into her new house in New Braunfels. I knew she was going to be moving, so I didn't put it in my calendar because her closing date was kind of fluid. Mm-hmm. So we were going to go up there and help her whenever she moved. And I knew it was coming, but I didn't have it in my calendar. And I told an agent that I would do an open house for her that Saturday. And she was like really upset. And I was planning ahead and getting all the marketing taken care of like that Tuesday. Yeah. And she was like, what do you mean you can't do my open house? Like you said in the office that you were going to be doing open houses for other agents and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, ma'am, I am so sorry. I didn't put it in my calendar and I didn't know. Like I'm going to be back on Sunday and Monday to do these other open houses, but I can't do yours on Saturday. And I wish so badly that I could. And I was thinking of anything I possibly could to make it work. And I learned from then, and I'm still trying to figure out, like, do I like a written calendar? Do I like it in my phone? My husband is like, hey, what do you got going today? Check the calendar. You're a written person.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'm old school that way. I have a team member that is all about the Google Calendar.
Yeah.
And so I'm having to learn that, yes, you can teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah. So I'm trying to learn that. But if it's not written down in this, it ain't happening. Ain't happening.
Well, let's touch real quick, as we're wrapping up, what you just mentioned your team.
Yes.
So you got started, and then we might have to bring you on again to talk about the middle.
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
So let's talk about this. So you got started and you had great success.
Yes.
And then how did the team come about?
So the team came about by, my own success, and I really didn't have a team concept until I got to talk to Lori about it. When my niece was looking at getting into real estate, I approached Lori, hey, I want to sponsor my niece. She's getting into it. She goes, you know what? You need to start a team. I'm like, start a team? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, it's a real estate team. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. All right. So then I start diving into that. And I was like, oh, man, that's a really good, that puts me not only in my own business, but I'm also running a team,
which is your own brand.
Yes.
So let's explain to the listeners if they don't know what that is. What is a team in real estate?
So a team in real estate is, and there's a couple different models. So the way I wanted to have mine structured was you have a team lead, and then you have buyer's agents underneath you. Mm-hmm. So when you get to a period in your career where you are successful, you can hand a lot of leads off to your buyer's agents. So it lets you focus on your listings.
Yeah.
So when if you were on my team, I would funnel all my buying agents, all my buyers to you.
Gotcha.
To use. Now, you don't join a team for leads. You need to be in production before that.
Right.
And one of the things I did, I picked up new agents. Didn't realize how much time I would be spending with new agents
training them.
Yes, and I saw the lag for that. Mm-hmm. So when I do add onto my team again, it's going to be somebody that's already in production, somebody that's got some closings under the belt.
Their own experience, exactly.
Yeah. So and then team structures can be different way. You can have if it's just two, like you and I, mm-hmm. we can have, a 50-50 mm-hmm. team, which that's what a lot of them do. But when you have larger teams where you have a team lead and you have maybe 2 or 3 buyer's agents, mm-hmm. then it is structured differently. There's no right or wrong way to structure it.
Right.
So you can charge a commission or charge a percentage of things that they bring in. If it's a lead that you give them, then you have a referral fee or something like that.
Yeah.
If it is stuff they bring to the table, then you're going to take a little bit less from that.
Right.
So that helps.
So it's a give and a take with the commission split.
Yes. Yeah. And there's no right or wrong way.
Right.
There's better ways and not so better ways to do that.
Right. Cool.
And that was some of the learning curves that I got.
Okay. So then you started a team, and I interrupted you. What were you talking about? You talking about your team, and then you said, what were you saying before I made you stop and talk about your team?
I have no idea.
I don't remember either.
Yeah. So, just briefly on my team, where I came up with that, I started the Paradise team.
Yeah.
Was our team name. And recognizing talent when you see it is very important to do.
Yeah.
I lack artistic capabilities. I'm not an artistic person at all. Mm-hmm. So that was one of my downfalls. So that was one of the first people I recruited, was somebody that had a marketing background, somebody that had some artistic, somebody could speak the Instagram language and do that. And so that was one of the first people I brought on board.
Yeah.
So I saw this person come up, and I was like, oh, yeah, I need to grab a hold of them before they get away.
That's awesome.
And identified that person, and I've sat down and talked to them for 30 minutes,
mm-hmm.
and within that time frame they had, I was telling my idea for a team, and that they had a logo set. I mean, they had 5 different examples for a logo.
That's
a
so
motto.
awesome.
I'm like, holy crap, man,
yes,
this is great.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. So and I've enjoyed I've enjoyed being on a team. I've enjoyed running a team.
Yeah.
And branching out and becoming a mega agent. And
so
I still don't like the way that sounds.
I know.
That just
own it.
I'm a mega agent.
But you're awesome.
No,
you're awesome. Own it.
I'm just Charlie Howell. I run a team.
Yeah. And you have your own office in Rockport now.
I do. Yes.
So cool.
And where I made one of my biggest mistakes, and some advice I can give, is be less impressed and more involved.
Yeah.
Because I let a lot of my success go to my head.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And you got to plant. I equate it to farming. You got to put seeds in the ground,
right?
Because you're going to harvest them out later.
Yeah.
People that want to get into this profession and think that they're going to make quick money and a lot of money quick, no.
Yeah.
Even if I get a contract today, you're still 35, 40 days out for closing.
And if you get that contract today, whenever they do their inspections later this week or at the beginning of next week, they could decide to back out.
Yep.
That was the way my first deal was, and I was crushed.
I remember that. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I was like, they don't want to use me. They don't like me. I messed up. Blah 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 blah. And then a month later, they find their own for sale by owner lot. They decide to buy it, and they decide to pay my commissions because they valued me so much. Yep. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just crazy. It really, and you can't count your chickens before they hatch.
Yep.
And I explain that to people too whenever they want to get into this industry, that you're always, and this is what my team lead tells me all the time, Kristen, you're always 30, 60, 90 days out. So what are you doing today? What money-making activities are you doing today to be able to be successful in the future? Yeah. Because just because you are a realtor doesn't mean that people are just going to come flocking to you.
Right.
And a lot of times people always ask me too, well, where do you get your leads from? I work hard. Yeah. And that's where they come from.
I've noticed that.
You know what I mean? That's just, they don't just automatically come. And that was one thing that I was really nervous about, because whenever you get started, you're like, okay, well, I'm commissioned now. What am I doing? When am I going to get paid? And then everything, I feel like for the first few months is always like, well, how am I going to support my family? Yeah. And then like you said, sometimes it can be hard. Like whenever you get started and you start and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then you get the traction going. And this happened with me too. I got some traction going, and then it fell out. I didn't have any, after they closed, I didn't have anybody pending for the following month. And I was just sitting there just like twirling my thumbs. I'm like, what's going on?
No, I believe me, I went through that. So my success story, I started in June here, and the first 4 months I closed like 7 deals.
Holy smokes.
I was just nailing it.
You guys that don't do this every day, that's a lot of closings. Yeah.
And because from June, July, August, September, October was bombers.
That's
5 months.
So
about
nice.
5 months. Well, I wasn't planning for the future. I was so wrapped up in my buyers in that November, December, January.
Don't say it.
I was dry.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. I was like, all right, note to self.
Yes. Learn that lesson.
Learn that lesson the hard way,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, and then that was the beginning of COVID in
crap.
2020.
Yeah.
So starting in February of 2020, it really took off. I did, and not to brag, but you know your numbers. If you're a team lead, or you got to know your numbers.
Yeah.
So my first 6 months, I did 1.3 million.
Awesome.
In sales, but only about 4 months of that was actually working.
Right.
The rest of that was like,
where's everyone at?
Yeah. So that was a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
So going into my first full year, which was 2020, I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to rock this. This is going to be great. I'm going to build on my success. I'm going to carry that forward. COVID. What the what's going on, man? COVID? Really?
Yeah.
We have a pandemic? The whole country's shutting down?
What am I going to do?
Yeah, exactly. No, 2020 was a bomber year.
Yeah.
I doubled my production, 3.4 million.
That's so awesome.
Almost 22 closings.
Wow, that's so awesome.
I was like, holy cow, this is great.
Yeah.
And then so November of last year is when I started coming up with the idea, hey, I want to do a team. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's when my niece was looking at getting into those, I think I want to do this. And then in February of 2021, that's when I formally approached Lori. Hey, this is something I want to do. I had I've never had a one-on-one with her before because she terrifies me.
Seriously, though.
Yeah.
Lori's our team lead, by the way,
yes,
for
Lori's
those
team
listening.
Lead. Yeah.
She is our fearless leader.
Yes. But it was just what I needed.
Yeah.
I needed to sit down and have that one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because it puts things in perspective. And she's being somebody that's been in this industry for a long time.
Yeah.
She pointed me in the right direction because this is what you need to do.
Right.
And when it came time to form my team, she's like, excellent. Oh, that's great. Well, in our office, there's a little alcove and it had 3 desks.
Yeah.
And I really wanted that little alcove. And I'm not going to go in and just say, hey, I've done this. You need to kick everybody out.
Absolutely.
No, I was going to go in just through an attrition. When people were leaving and that, I would like to have that little alcove.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, you need to shoot bigger. You need to aim higher. Aim higher. What do you mean? She goes, you need your own office.
That's crazy.
What? That's a thing? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, your production's up high enough. You can do, you qualify for our mega agent program, and I'm not worried about you one bit.
That's so cool.
I'm just like, I didn't know that was a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's, 2020, like I said, 2020 was a great year for me.
Yeah.
Coming into this year, it's been a bomber year for me. I didn't want to push out on my own until after the first of the year.
Yeah.
But when this availability, this office space came available,
yeah,
it wasn't going to last, and they weren't going to hold it for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So I needed to jump on it.
Yeah.
And do it.
Well, and to be able to have your own sanctuary space where you're not sharing it with a whole bunch of people. And I love being in the office and being able to hear other people's conversations, and everything like that. That sounds like I'm eavesdropping. That's not what I mean.
No.
You learn off of the conversations you hear other people having in a collaborative workspace.
Right.
And I love that. But it can be very difficult sometimes whenever you're in a big room with a whole bunch of people with no personal space to have conversations and when you're in real estate, you never know if your coworker is going to want to put an offer in on the same house that you're talking about with your client. So you try and be careful,
You do, and that because you have a lot of their pertinent information that is what I, my line of work, I call it confidential or personal or classified.
Yeah. And
I don't want to talk freely about that.
Yeah.
So that having my own space, my own office to do that is great.
That's so awesome.
I was never ever afraid to leave my information laying on my desk for buyers or sellers, as far as their contact information, because I wasn't concerned with somebody coming through and taking that and calling them.
Right.
Other brokerages in Rockport, you better watch out. You better lock that stuff up.
Yep.
There's reasons why other offices have individual office space with locks on the door.
Man, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful we don't deal with that.
Yeah. So when this year has been a great year, team stats so far, so we formed, actually March is when we actually formed and formed the Paradise team.
Wow.
So as a team, we're sitting on 35 transactions.
Wow.
30 of those are mine, which is naturally that way. When you have a team lead, you're going to have more transactions. And bringing new people on, takes a lot of time.
It does.
That was I wouldn't say it's a mistake. It was a learning curve.
Yeah.
Because I value all my team members. But moving forward, when I look at wanting to do something for adding to the team to grow and expand, I'm definitely going to have a threshold of, hey, you need to have so many transactions done.
Yeah.
You need to, or so many experience. You need to have a little bit of that, because I was taking so much time away from my own farming.
Gotcha.
That I was training these people.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind doing.
Right.
But it was a wake up call for me. It's like, hey, your production is actually slipping.
Yeah.
For that. So, going into that, you just that's a learning curve.
Yeah.
That's just that's all that is.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's awesome. That's really cool. I think it's really cool for people to be able to see that, yes, you can have great success in this, but you have to work hard at it. Yes, you can come from, any other line of work, like, like law enforcement, like you said, and still be able to be successful.
Yes, definitely.
But at the end of the day, you are running your own business.
Right.
And like you said too, the way that you portray yourself and the way that you run your business matters, and with that being said, to wrap it up, what is one thing that you do every day to make the world a better place?
I show up.
Yeah.
I show up, I answer my phone, I'm there for people that call me.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot about somebody. If they're dependable, if they great in the moment.
Yeah.
You got to be great in the moment.
Yeah.
And if you're with your family, be there with your family.
Yes, please.
If you're at work, be at work.
Yeah.
That's just, you've got to follow through. That's another thing.
Yeah.
You got to be a person of your word.
Right.
Integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's looking.
Yes.
And because a lot of times you're there by yourself, and you got to spend that time. If you're working, you're working. If
right.
you're off, you're off. But also, answer your phone. I've got more deals on Sundays because I answered my phone.
Seriously. And you actually, like you said, you show up whenever you say you're going to be there.
Yeah.
Whenever you say that you're going to do something, you do it.
And I just try to follow through. I just try to be dependable.
Right.
And I try to be, I wouldn't be on ALC. I wouldn't be a mentor if I didn't want that.
Yeah.
I ask for it.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
These are not paid positions.
Right.
These are volunteer positions. And when Lori first asked me to be on ALC, I'm like, let me think about this, because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it with both feet.
Absolutely.
I'm going to jump right into it, and
Yeah.
I'm going to be all about it. And I don't want to, excuse my language, don't want to half-ass something.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there sometimes and not.
Right.
I was
able to commit.
Yes, you commit and stick with it.
Right. That's awesome. I love that. Well, if anybody has any questions about Keller Williams, if you have any questions about, real estate or anything like that, you can always call myself or Charlie. Charlie, how do people get a hold of you?
Easy. Phone number 361-205-9190. 361-205-9190.
Awesome.
That's my cell phone. Call me, text me. Yeah.
Happy to help. Well, I love
Yes.
that. I love that. And thank you so much for your time today.
It is an absolute honor to be here.
Yes, I'm so motivated and encouraged. I'm ready to go out and take on anything now. It feels so good. It feels so good. Well, thank you guys for joining us today.
Yes.
And we hope that you had some great takeaways. Like I said, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out, and have a good one.